taking pictures of the outside over there on the patio door. My hand camera.
It would be a picture of Colleen the whole time.
Hi, I'm Anastasia Williams, and I'm here to present on the pros and cons of mental health days in the workplace. Do you know someone that has suffered from a mental health issue such as anxiety, depression, ADHD? Well, don't feel bad if it's you, your family, whatever. 1 in 5 Americans actually suffer from a mental issue. So obviously this is going to get in the way of their work and personal life. So my goal is to inform my audience of the pros and cons of having mental health days in the workplace in the United States. I am qualified to speak on this because I have suffered from it myself, and I've also done extensive research to be able to present it to my audience today. Now, the points I would like to inform you on is productivity increase and mental health in other countries and the pros that they have shown. And on the con side, the potential abuse and profit decrease that could result with mental health days. Let us start off with the pros because it's much more lively on that side. Our first pro is productivity would increase if the employees took a mental health day to restore their brain and get any unwanted thoughts that should not be in the workplace. An example to back this up is the statistics made by the American Psychiatric Association, where they did a experiment and they recorded that unsolved depression, whether from work or personal, their personal life, 35%. There was a 35% reduction in productivity than, translating this into our money, it's about $210.5 billion a year. And then if we translate that again, that means that depressed employees miss at least 31.4 days per year. With the right motivation and therapy and skill building, it was proven that 80% of those treated improved levels of effectiveness, work satisfaction, and overall health. The next point to back this up is how a depressed person acts, which could impede on workplace production. Likely they'll call out of work or because they want to crawl on the couch and cry, or they just don't want to go to work because they feel so anxious. And this could lead to them losing their job and have a whole bunch of unpaid bills in a box somewhere. These acts are psychologically approved by the Psychological Today as of 2025, which they go through a rotation system and they check it. Yeah. The next pro is a little more on the international side of things with other countries. People from other countries such as France, Australia, they all have mental health. So their government looks out for them, basically. 2 things to back this up is Maeve, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's Maeve, January 13th of 2022 article wrote about the countries and their mental health. So the UK actually has legal requirements for their employers to provide mental health days, paid mental health days to the workers, which has resulted in a more stable work-life balance. And the next thing to back this up is actually a very famous thing called TikTok. So Soraya Marie is a TikTok content creator, and she posts content on workplace mental health and work-life balance. So, for example, one of her skits that she did was about her going into work and how her work was putting unnecessary stress on her because they wanted her to get all these things done last minute, which a lot of workers can probably relate to. And it showed her going through the steps, and then at the end, she was all over the place, running around with a chicken, her head was cut off. And it ended with that skit. So that's the US side of it. And there is another TikTok influencer going by the name Roy Vientiera, who worked in France and in the US, and she compares the two. So she posts about how France actually doesn't work for 2.5 months. They don't work for 2.5 months because it's legally required, legally by law, they don't work those months. And then if you're sick, you don't have to go in. But they also have mental health days that the employees actually get to use that they're paid for. They're mandatory. You have to take at least 3 mental health days a year. And lastly, going against these pros are our cons and how they affect the workplace. Our first con is the potential abuse that employees can use it as. My first example that I would like to back this up with is on the opposite of my first point with a productivity increase. Well, it could actually result in a productivity decrease because employees can try and use this time as just an extra day off, or they can use it as just because they don't want to go into work that day. It could also be leading to where an employee not wanting to do work that day and will just call out and be like, hey, I'm not feeling it mentally, I don't want to go to work, basically. And they just use it because it's an option they're available to them. Now, last but not least is our final point of the cons and having mental health in the workplace. The potential to decrease profit, which I'm going to back this up with a hypothetical example. What happens if we have a factory worker and, these factory workers actually need a day off, and they don't come into work, and now, we don't have someone producing any product. Our product is probably shorted by 300 a day or something. From personal experience, I worked at an insurance company myself, and if you know anything about insurance, you're supposed to go out and get these insurance pieces. If someone just doesn't want to work that day, they can take their mental health day, and now that company's down thousands and thousands of dollars because their product isn't being sold. And to make sure it gets across, this was just a couple of pros and cons that would influence the US and their workplace, their work-life balance. If the employers gave employees mental health days. As we all know, mental health is important in not only the US, but other places. It just so happens that the US is one of the places that has a lot of mental health issues. Obviously, it would affect their working environments if we didn't have mental health days, but then our companies would be a little shaken up, and they would they could potentially lose profit if they were to give the employees mental health days. But what really all this is about is what you choose to do with it. So you can either abuse it or you can actually use it for what it's for. And that's my whole speech. That's my whole speech.
Thank you.
Yay! I apologize for my incredibly bad camera work.
You guys sure everybody's still here, right?